Ian, so good to see you again. It was nice seeing you at the picnic on Sunday. It was really good. Talking to that inchworm, we had quite a bit. I have to check on the tape and see if we got him moving along. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about. And in the audience, welcome very, very much to Conversations. Our guest for this hour is TV, and that's the name he has, and that's what we're going to introduce him as. And he's a very multifaceted person that we're going to talk about a number of things in. We've got and he's a musician. He's being billed as a musician, but he wears many, many hats, and he's got wide-ranging interest in TV. Welcome enormously to Conversations in Manhattan Network.
Thank you, Howard.
Now, you don't like me to go into your personal background, so I won't, but I would ask you in a certain sense, maybe, you're a New Yorker or what?
I can generalize it.
Okay, that's good, yeah.
Personal. We started talking about that a little bit outside.
Yeah.
And, everybody has I'm from here, the David Copperfield story. But I think my background is very similar to most people my age who are just working musicians and working artists and people who like to think about things, who went to school and discovered that, we can't actually get good jobs, and we probably didn't want good jobs anyway, and figured out half of the one and the other at some point or other, and that the good jobs were saved for the children of the guys who own the companies and things like this.
Yeah, it pretty much is. It's sort of like
tends to be true.
Feudal families.
Yeah, you get a lot of that, especially in music. And I'm a musician. And,
and a songwriter.
I write all the music. It's funny because music really used to be a working class impulse, I guess. And what you see these days in popular music is, like the Miley Cyruses and the Strokes, and I'm not making a value judgment to say that any of this stuff is bad. I'm sure there is an audience that is interested in this kind of content, but in my youth, it was bands like Nirvana and the Pixies and Sonic Youth, just like all working class people, like me and a lot of my friends who just played music because being an artist or a musician isn't an occupation, it's a condition.
It's an art. It's
a condition.
The arts in general is something. It's very bad to try to make your way as a poet.
Well, it's really easy to do stuff when like your parents pay your rent for you.
Yeah, it's all got to do with materialistic money matters. Yeah.
Yeah,
but we don't give much attention to the
arts. It's not even that it's an awful thing. But the culture I think that refers to is one where it's completely one of control. I guess. I mean, you can look at I have like a whole conspiracy theory that I developed
about the way the world's organized.
No, just music.
Just music.
Just music.
You don't think the whole world is sort of organized?
Well, I don't want to get too.
It seems to me all the institutions are authoritarian. It's mostly motivated by money, don't you think?
Well, of course. I mean, everything is motivated by a bottom line, but I try to stay focused on the things that directly pertain to my interests, because I think if you have too much to say about a very generalized topic, one, people don't take you seriously, and two, you really lack any kind of precision. Like for example, I'll be precise.
Yeah.
You can talk about like the 1996 Telecommunications Act, which it made pay-to-play illegal. And Clear Channel took control of all the radio stations, and in the same year we have the rise of Britney Spears, and we have the rise of the Justin Timberlakes. And I want to be clear that I'm not saying that a lot of these people aren't talented, because some of them are very talented, but I don't think at this time it's the kind of music that really speaks to the concerns and anxieties, I guess, that people have. You see a lot of glitz and big production. I mean, spot colors. Spot colors everywhere.
Do you happen to know Giorgio Gomelski?
No.
He's really hip. You should know him. He's older. He's my age.
Okay.
Right? And his people are from the Republic of Georgia in what was the Soviet Union, and then he was raised in Switzerland and whatnot, and he went to England at the late 50s and early 60s, and he set up what became a legendary house, right, in a hotel called the Crawdaddy. I think it's still going and everything. It was a club. He started it. And he had some guys that were coming down, working class guys coming down. He had to pay the tube fare, they called it tubes in London, to get out to the venue and everything like that. First time they ever played in London. He was there, and there were more people on the stage than in the audience. You know that.
Yeah, I've played shows like that.
Yeah, like that. And he did it, and he was with them, and it got them and everything like that. It was a little-known group called the Rolling Stones.
I think I've heard of
the first
those guys.
time they ever played with them, and he did it. But they were working-class people,
Yeah, for me, it's weird for me to be in your show in a way.
Why? Okay, you shouldn't be.
Well, I mean, I met you, and I was painted completely white doing.
You had a white face. You look like Marceau.
Yeah, I get that. I get Joker. We should talk about
Joker.
We should talk about Joker in a sec.
Yeah.
But we were talking about like James Joyce or something or other.
Yes, we had an incredible 5-minute conversation. Where you made very clear to me that you've given a great deal of serious thought to a lot of very important philosophical issues of the human condition.
Well, I've thought when I was a younger
You've done a lot of serious thinking.
Not so much recently.
No, not recently. You're trying not to think anymore?
I try to think less and less and to do more and more, I guess, and just to, going back to what I said about not having really particular ideas about everything, but to have specific ideas about one or two things, to specializing, I guess. Like I'm a musician, I know about music, and one thing I've noticed about like this time, and I think it has a lot to do with the glut of communication.
There's so much.
Yeah, I got on the internet in like the late 80s, and it was like BBSs, and you have all of the social networking sites, and you have YouTube and all this content coming at you all at once, and what you end up with is, I guess micro targeting would
target marketing, they call it in the marketing
micro targeting.
Micro targeting.
Yeah, Mark Penn is a pollster. Anybody who's interested in conspiracy theories should look at Mark Penn.
Mark Penn. Okay.
Mark Penn. He did all the research for like the Clintons and Blackwater, and if you have money, like he'll do the research for it. A lot of people think this is bad. I'm not convinced it's bad at all. It shows that one thing that capitalism does is democratizes content and research.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this will be put in the hands of the people who can afford it.
Yeah.
So it is problematic, but it's not
Hasn't it always been like that, TV? Hasn't it always been like we had the emperors of Rome, and everybody was walling around in the mud.
Well, that's a total hegemony and oligarchy, though.
Yeah, and then you had the feudal period. You had the kings, and everybody was walling around in the mud, and that kind of thing. And now we got a banking system that's in place, and everyone else. I often feel like people are like serfs on a feudal estate. Because the template is all set by a few people in a black room somewhere. They set the template for all our institutions, the way of funding and everything, and then people either be sycophant to that or else they don't get noticed.
Well, that's what we have in media right now.
Not only in media, but in the society in general.
Well, if you look at the credit system, the way the credit structure is organized is one that really models the feudal structure. People. They have debt, and a lot of people my age have a lot of debt, and they were
only from university.
Well, what you have is in colleges they'll go around like, get a credit card, and these kids don't know how to manage their finances.
Yeah, and they're charging hell of a tuition now. Why does anybody go to college anymore?
I don't know. I went.
Did you go to college?
I went to college.
You did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I went to college, and it didn't help me get a good job.
Mm-hmm.
I learned some stuff. What I learned from college was. More how to live off the grid, and luckily, I didn't have to pay for it. My parents didn't really have to a whole lot either because I had like financial aid and stuff.
You had financial aid or scholarships?
Both.
You were a good student in high school and that sort of thing?
Pretty good.
Pretty good. You were interested in things too. And if I'm not mistaken, the first day I met you, 5 minutes, we had a conversation where you were familiar with Teilhard de Chardin.
Yeah.
Major philosophical input, and I understand your dad was philosophically inclined.
Yeah.
Is it worth mentioning, or the family structure? Was it encouraging of things intellectual or
absolutely,
social concern or any of those kind of things?
Well, my dad, my parents were both extremely encouraging people. My mom is a violinist. She's a musician.
Wonderful.
And my dad's a lawyer.
And a philosopher.
Well, not a professional philosopher.
No, but he was
he's a guy
of Chardin.
He's a guy
Chardin at a young age.
Yeah. Well,
okay, that's a good source to be.
Yeah, if you're, that's a little under the covers. Most people don't know about him.
No, but they ought maybe.
Yeah.
I think it's coming. We're converging. In his terms, we're converging I think we're coming to a crisis, a moment of qualitative transformation, the evolution of universal consciousness, perhaps.
I don't know.
You don't think? Maybe?
Well, let me tell you. Right now, I mean, people my age, and
I don't mean to pry. How old are you? You don't want to say your age. You don't have to. But
you know what? I'd rather say I'm anywhere from 29 to like 19.
29 to 19.
You know, because I think.
Shall we have a contest with the audience and send in a thing? How old is this young man?
The generations get more and more concise and absorb the same content. It doesn't really have to do so much with when you were born, but what technological advancements and what kind of culture you were experiencing at that time.
I think that's always been the case because the technologies was
But
really
the technology
changing.
is changing so quickly now.
Yes, indeed.
That one person who is 5 years older than another, and then another person who's 10 years older than another, the people who are much farther in age, they could have more in common.
Yeah, right. And it's a technology that's changing, really.
Well, technology is changing us.
And consciousness and the evolutionary process is one that one of the measures by which you can deal with that is consciousness. And humanity seems to me very unique. I saw a thing on television. They had a lot of good things on television about ants and the way they organize their society. It's incredible.
Yeah.
What they do, it's so together, and they get these things built. It's almost architecture. They had a thing where they poured cement down it, so they had where all the tunnels were, and they had ventilation, and it was all worked out in some sort of horde-like way.
Ants are precisely horizontalized and verticalized society, meaning that there is a power structure and that everything functions on a really practical level where everything goes with the other thing.
Right.
I mean, in the West, we have this idea that a lot of people do, at any rate, that we're more advanced because we have like televisions and automobiles. Well, I mean, just because you know how to turn on a television or drive a car, does that mean that you're better than some person who actually knows how to go out and hunt and actually
or maybe plumb?
To actually do something. To actually do something.
Do something.
To actually do something. I mean, America's become such a service industry. We don't really make anything anymore, and I think
we don't. It seems right.
I think that's what's really going to take us down.
You think we're going to go down?
We are on the way down.
You do think that,
yes,
right? You
yes.
You don't think the stimulus package is going to work and everything?
No.
Are you following all that stuff with Mr. Geithner, Mr. Volcker?
I work too much to.
You don't have time for that.
I don't really have enough time, so I'm not going to pretend I do.
Right.
But I mean, this is generational here. Like my parents are like 55 to 65.
Oh,
and
God, it would be great to be at 55. Yeah, okay.
And that was what they call like the me generation, And with my generation, and I'm not even sure where that begins and ends at this point.
Yeah.
You have people who are completely selfish, and if you look at media, you have everybody who's going on like a reality show to present their like representation of how average they are. Really, that's all it is. And
I have never seen those. Is that where they eat worms and things and do all kinds of
that may be
things?
one thing they do. I've seen that one.
There's strange things that they do. I don't know why they're popular.
I think the reason they're popular is because if you have any like say 10 shows and then you just throw a whole bunch of stuff at the wall, some of it's going to stick.
Yeah.
And if you only have those 10 options, eventually people are going to pick it. Like going back to music for a sec.
Yeah.
I was going to tell you about the conspiracy theory before.
Okay.
I believe, this is my conspiracy theory.
Okay,
here.
good.
There was this little band in Seattle in 1991 called Nirvana.
Okay.
And they changed everything.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Music at that time completely changed until we had the resurgence of pop in like the mid-90s.
When was Nirvana?
1991.
No, Nirvana was 91?
91
is
when...
It changed everything, right?
It changed everything.
Uh-huh.
Really what it did is it destroyed the pop market. There was a lot of money investment that went into, MC Hammer and the Vanilla Ices and, whatever, like Paula Abdul, who's now on American Idols and whatever. And it destroyed that market. So my suspicion is that a bunch of guys in suits got together and said, we can never let this happen again. So then what you have is rather than releasing really good records, because if you have a really good record, people will only listen to it, I should say people will listen to it a lot, and they won't need another record. So they're thinking, well, if we just give them a lot of garbage, they're going to have to constantly buy candy and get a new record.
Some people say the same thing about the internet, that it's a lot of garbage. Because
it is a lot of garbage.
I read an article today from a guy, who's the editor of Wired now? Somebody named Anderson, Eric Anderson. He's the editor. And he's got a thing in there, and he says everything's heading for free.
Oh no, it's going for free.
It's going for free, and it's going. He used the analogy of casting wide the sea.
Well, there's a book called Free.
There is, I think. Is that Howard?
No, it's not his book. I saw it in the house though.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There is that. I think it might be his. That's his book.
Okay, I saw it in the
major
house,
article. It just came out in Wired Current, I think, and he's written a book about it. And it's about the way the cyber world's going to develop.
Well, this is, when it comes to
everything's
music,
getting so it's getting down to where the cost is zero, and so you're going to be able to do things for free.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, get ready to have things structured on abundance rather than scarcity, which has been the motivating paradigm assumption throughout all of history, because we've lived in a condition of scarcity. I don't think it's possible to make the transition toward a world of abundance without a great deal of dislocation to all of our inherited institutions and conscious notions of human nature and so forth. And maybe we're living in that time.
Well, no, we're already there.
We're there, you think?
We are already there, and
okay.
the powers that be don't know it. I was fortunate enough to be allowed to tag along to the New Music Conference, or New Music Seminar, and it's an industry thing, and you have like the president of Tommy Boy Records, Tom Silverman, up there saying the music industry isn't hospice. If you want to be a professional musician, do it yourself. You know, if you're successful, you'll make $40,000 a year, and have a normal job. Mm-hmm. And for somebody like me, this sounds great.
Yeah,
you're like wow, like making money, like making some
with art. That'd be wonderful.
Yeah, any amount is fine.
Allen Ginsberg used to say, "I wish to hell I could make my way with poems." He did, but damn few poets do.
The thing that's different now, and I think this is only to do with media.
And he only did it in the end.
Is that there are so many. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
There are so many different kinds of like subcultures and cliques.
Yeah.
That a different kind of music can be marketed to different kinds of people like all the time.
Yeah.
So you don't really have that hegemonic sense of like this is like the defining image, this is like the rock star of the generation, and so on.
The star system is dying, do you think?
Well, the star system is being pushed, but it's absolutely dying. I mean,
I talked at the picnic we were at with somebody who was there, used to be a Morris agency, and that was the major one, and it was a star system with Hollywood and everything. And I had a friend, Benjamin, he was an actor and a character, great character actor, but all the money went to the star. You had a star system. I don't even hardly know who the people are now that are the actors.
You know what? You make an excellent point. Yeah.
And in every institution, you have a star. You have Tiger Woods in golf. You have somebody in golf. They're looking
sports
for
is
stars.
Sports is always better than that, and I like sports.
Or you have the same sort of thing in the banking world. Somebody
people
has
who
to be
produce
retained
results.
at AIG.
In banking and in sports, people actually have to produce results.
How come some people get so much more money than other people? Why is that?
Well, that's a very long conversation.
It is it? Well, we have an hour. Could you put it into about a 30-second soundbite?
Well, basically,
maybe not.
I can.
Okay.
The reason some people make a lot of money in music is because they have been making a lot of money, so they can leverage contracts.
So leverage is the thing. If you can leverage your, it's like they still have those fundi from the feudal times where you got a lot of accumulated capital, and they still are leveraging upon their the inherited. Status of leadership from the historical pattern. We have a lot of institutions. It's like the reptilian core is part of our nervous system, and it's all everything's built upon everything else, and it's built.
Right,
and we have a lot of institutions and thoughts that are being perhaps need to be subsumed rather than reifying institutions that we've had. Because there's been a qualitative transformation in the evolution of the extended consciousness and the capability at this particular time.
Well, when the powers that be don't keep up to date with where the mass consciousness is going, then one, they're going to impose power structures more arbitrarily and through fear. They're not going to do business as well, and they're going to contribute to a more boring culture.
You think so? Yeah. Well, whatever. The major thing that motivates the society worldwide, it would seem to be the market and money. That's the main thing.
Well, money is neutral as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
I mean, money. One of the business models that I see in music is you have the most generalized product that you can, so you can market to what they perceive Walmart as being, which I don't think the way Walmart is perceived is correct.
You don't think Walmart is correct?
No, I don't think the way Walmart is the way that Walmart is perceived is correct.
Walmart got a hell of a supply chain and everything.
Walmart is perceived as like a middle America redneck kind of people listening to bad music, but if you actually go out to these towns, there's nothing to do, so kids hang out in the parking lots at Walmart, and there are no other record stores, so the kids want to be able to buy really important music to them in Walmart. Walmart is like totally fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't agree with the extent to which it kills mom and pop businesses.
That's.
I don't agree with that, but the thing is, let's say in the places where it's already happened, Walmart is a way to get out into places where music can't actually usually get.
So you're tying Walmart to music then? So you're looking at this through the music thing.
I look at everything
one part of the economy, of course. Yeah.
I mean, like I was saying before, I mean, media has made everything so fractured at this point that there's really like no one person. Like, what do we have? Like, say Justin Timberlake. Everyone knows who he is, and I'm not going to.
I hate to say, I really don't know.
Yeah, oh, that's awesome that you don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I know the name vaguely, but I couldn't identify with a face or a
celebrity
sound.
is only a person whose name you know and you don't really know why, And I'm not going to say whether I like what he does or not because it's not relevant. And a lot of times when a person like me comes on a show and says da-da-da, people are going to assume that I don't approve of it, and that's absolutely not the case. I really want to be neutral here.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced, though, that the production value and glitz of all of the pop scene is really relevant to people in their lives and concerns.
It's probably something expressing the fact that we're coming into a multimedia world. We haven't.
No, we're here. It's happened.
We didn't have, when I was your age or anything, we didn't have anything, a little 8mm camera, you could make some sort of home movie or something. We didn't have any of the media, and it's coming in Niagara proportions now, and it's moving exponentially now. We're getting beyond. That's what Mr. Anderson at Wired said. We're moving, and he said, did you hear what I said about that? He said that we are going to be preparing for a reality of abundance rather than scarcity. And value has been perceived as scarcity, and scarcity has been the ontologic reality in which all of the human institutions evolved. If we're at a point where we're transcending scarcity, that's a major event that seems never to be mentioned or brought up, except by people like Chardin and some other people who are looking, or Joyce. Joyce was really good at that.
George Bataille.
Okay, yeah.
The fact about abundance is that
you think it's possible?
We're there.
No, you think we have. Let's say, we've been here 200,000 years, more or less, Homo sapien. You agree with that?
I'm not sure.
That's what the mitochondria tells us.
I'm not sure how relevant that is to culture.
No, it's kind of a long...
I mean, it may be relevant. I just don't really understand.
Well, what I'm getting at is evolution of consciousness. That's Chardin. He's talking about convergence and that sort of thing. And we had the Australopithecine, and we had up the hominoid line, and we had evolution. Most of the mitochondria and the linguistic overlay to mitochondria evidence says that the Homo sapien species, had Homo erectus, Homo habilis, Homo habilis, and then we appeared. Our species appeared about 200,000 years or 10,000 generations ago, and we're proposing as we make that premise, and Mr. Anderson is proposing as you make that premise, one that also Mr. Buckminster Fuller made in his day and so forth, that we are on the verge of transcending an ontologic reality where there is enough for all, including the ecology. We're transcending scarcity, and scarcity has been the context in which all human evolution took place,
I know what you're
and all of
talking
its
about in
institutions
context of Fuller.
and notions of human nature. So that we're going through like a moment of birth to a new relationship, perhaps, to the cosmos.
Well, the problem, though, is when you have that much abundance, the mechanism with which you would choose among your, endless catalog of options, that's the rub.
I have a friend, Mark Stallman. You should meet him. He's a good guy. He's in town here. Giorgio, incidentally, the fellow I mentioned with the Stones. He's a great, really hip guy and everything. He's in New York. You can get to know him. He's on 24th Street. Great guy, one of the hippest guys in New York. But this other guy, Stallman, was a friend of Bob Dobbs, who's a great Joyce scholar, and he was in the room with Norbert Wiener.
Sure, I know. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and Norbert Wiener coined the term. There were about 12 guys in the room that coined the term, about 1948, cyber. Steersman.
Yeah.
And so, and he said in one of his writings, he said, information overload permits pattern recognition at the level, at another level.
That the size of your brain basically determines how
Well, I think
much content you can.
He was thinking systems thinking. You
yeah.
know, that you got you got overload here, you got overload here, and then if you see it there, it's part of a system. So you see the whole. So what it permits is pattern recognition that we haven't had the capability of doing until now.
Well, that's
we can
what
start
that's
beginning
what we
to get
have
an
with,
overall.
Like Google and stuff. It's all pattern recognition. I mean,
it is. I think the cyber's built on that.
Yeah. I mean, you
and
can
systems.
You can look at what we have today. You can look back at like Nietzsche in the 19th century saying that like a pen and paper is what allows us to be more smart than we are. I mean, he, using very crude technology by today's standards, saw us as cybernetic.
He did. Did he use the term?
No. That's Wiener's term.
Yeah.
But
he was a giant.
The thing about humans, and you could look back at, I mean, Wittgenstein, or you could look at Bergson, whoever you want, and say that one of the things that defines, man is that he's other than what he is. He has the ability to refer to himself and his compatriots in their absence. And technology really just hyperbolizes that, I guess.
Do you think technology is an extension of consciousness? I think it's unique. Absolutely. We mentioned ants before. They're pretty good at it, but we can extend our consciousness and use tools or technology and make the world other than what's given. And that notion of surplus or that notion of abundance is at the level of capability. It's not apropos to all the institutions we've inherited, which has been a condition of scarcity. All of the assumptions of our institutions, the nation state, all the notions that we have about economic structure in the world economy, all these things are structured within a condition that's been qualitatively changed by the evolutionary process itself, which may be at a moment of punctuated equilibrium and coming in to a new relationship like Chardin saw of convergence.
I think if that happens, it'll be clear to everybody, like when Burroughs said naked lunch, that's when everybody sees what's on the end of every fork. But when it comes to ideas about economy and culture, I mean, these are ideas that have been told to us, and I'm very suspicious and skeptical about my education and what people tell us. We talked about this the other week.
Was that in that 5-minute interlude that we had where you were white-faced like Marceau Marceau?
Yeah.
It was incredible what was coming out of you. You are really well-read. I don't know. You really are. I'm sorry. I hate to lay that appellation on you.
Let me play a tune.
Yeah, let me play some music. You are a musician. Let's get to that and everything. This is TV, and he's a musician, but he's also a philosophical
I talk
person.
about some stuff.
We can talk about other stuff and everything, but what are you going to play for us? You want to introduce the song or just whip right out?
I'm going to play one of my tunes. It's called Solo Gigolos.
Solo Gigolos?
Yeah, it's named after an Ed Ruscha painting.
Okay.
And I was doing a party, a weekly party where kids come.
Yeah.
And this was sort of my commentary on that whole scene.
The scene of the party itself?
Yeah.
You made it up at the parties you were doing it? Did you make it up?
No. I mean, I was a promoter, and it was a very popular party, and what ends up happening is, if anything is going well, and people are, you can kind of you can marshal people to actually be positive and work together.
Yeah. A happening.
Yes.
Right.
It really is like in that sense. In that sense, it is. But a lot of times people become negative and they try to take it over, and everything just gets messed up. So I wrote this song. Thinking about all
You
that
wrote
stuff.
it before the party?
No, after when I quit the party.
Oh, when you quit the party.
Well,
okay,
what happened is
reflection upon the party. Okay,
my reflection. Yeah. The bar owner actually stole the cash box and tried to steal it. So I told everybody it was canceled and everything.
Well, I always encourage everybody who gets into a mess to make sure they get a poem out of it.
It's good when you can.
You got a song out of it.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Play.
Some break dancer gazing at the cardboard, busted ghetto blaster tapping Morse code, TV on the dance floor with the ball peen hammer, Do the hokey pokey with your hula hoop. No matter what they think of you, no matter what they ask you for. Gigolos, gigolos, gigolos. Tony sucking gumballs. He's Swetch and Pagney. Limbaugh high on no seas. I'd ask him to sing. A new technology is old. Butthead Mary's Tinkerbell. It's swell, solo gigolos dancing with the stars under disco balls. Ah, solo gigolos in the limousine shooting finger guns. Oh my, solo gigolos in that's high five shooting five alive. Oh my, solo gigolos dancing in the sun burning alive. Oh my, ting-a-ling-a-ling on crystal glasses. Ding-a-ling-a-ling on crystal glasses. Ding-a-ling-a-ling on crystal glasses. Ting-a-ling-a-ling on crystal glasses. Raspberry and champagne.
How many songs have you written?
I don't count.
Recorded, you got them all down? You got them all
not as many.
Not
as many as I would like to have had recorded. I'm actually going to start working on some new tunes in a week or 2 weeks. My friend Nandor Navai is a great drummer and composer, and we're going to work on a cover of a song by Blowfly, and I had the honor of playing guitar for him briefly. Blowfly.
He's a good. What is he?
He's a rapper. He's actually
a rapper. Oh,
yeah.
I can't understand what they're saying.
You
have to understand what the words say. I never can understand.
It does help. It does help sometimes.
Yeah.
With him, he's like 70.
Oh, God bless him.
Yeah.
That's getting up there.
He sort of like invented the genre.
Oh, really?
And
wow. That's a great honor then.
Yeah. No, it is. Yeah.
It's major. It's taken off all over the world.
What?
But the what do you call it? What do you call that?
Rap?
Hip hop or rap? Or
something?
Yeah, it's all over the world.
It's pretty much
Africa. It's all over.
It's like the most popular kind of music that's around today.
Yeah, it's funny how that comes along, right? We had rock and roll, and then we had other things, and then you said that and then it's going. Has it been too Western oriented to the music and the culture is going out to the world, and we don't get enough back from the world out there beyond the United States or West?
We definitely don't.
And there's a lot of good music being made.
Americans listen to American music, and for the most part, the people who are into music and they want to identify as people being into music, they'll listen to music. But are they really into it? I don't know. Like I'm a person who loves music.
You do, yeah. Always have.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. When did you first start playing and everything?
I was 13.
13, yeah. Picked up a guitar?
Yeah.
It just happened? You didn't take lessons?
No, I never took lessons.
Didn't take lessons in piano or anything?
No. My mom plays piano and viola and violin and so on. She never pushed it on me or anything.
Music's
like
wonderful, isn't it? It really is. It's universal.
It's really a place you can go.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. There can be like a lot of noise in your life, and you can just pick up an instrument. And the thing that I like about it is, obviously, like I usually never have to talk where it's all in succession. Yeah. Without any breaks. Like I might go kind of like, give me 10 minutes to think about it.
Yeah.
But music has no content. It's not discursive at all. You just making sounds and notes, and that's all. Yeah. And that's a pretty cool thing.
So have you put it down? If you got it down in album form and everything like that? In fact, we do.
That's right there.
We can show it right there. Yeah. I think they can come in close on that. And why don't we let them know about that, if you don't mind?
Of course.
It's Childproof.
Childproof is the band. Yeah.
How did it get the name Childproof?
It's probably not appropriate for this.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Well, I'll tell you. Well, I was.
We don't want you to do anything that's not appropriate.
It's not that bad.
I was
actually doing. It was a job. I was doing research for a drug company, and it had to do with. It was a research project about like drug abuse of prescription pain medication.
Yeah, a lot of it. Yeah.
And I was asked to write like a report, and the adjective that I used to describe how people abuse prescription drugs, I used the word childproof to
I see.
to describe it. And I was
that
like,
came out of your research.
I was
right?
like, that would be a good name for a band.
How did they come to what kind? I don't mean to pry. You were doing research for a major company with a major thing and everything.
Yeah.
How did you get to be in a position to be brought in to do that kind of work? You must have been pretty good with research.
It was just researching on like LexisNexis, finding case files. I was supposed to find like different outcomes of cases that had the result that they wanted, basically.
You're a good researcher?
Well, I hope so.
Yeah, no, it's really important to be able to do. Are you organized?
I'm very organized.
You are. That must be wonderful to be organized.
Yeah,
I'm not.
organized.
I wish I were.
Well, it's very easy to be organized if you if you don't have a lot of stuff.
I got a lot of stuff.
I don't.
You don't have a lot of stuff to keep track of?
I have a few bags of stuff in my life, and
only.
That's it. Yeah, I don't have much stuff. Yeah.
But you're very good with the computer and all that.
I know how to use a computer.
Very well. Isn't it amazing? You probably take it for granted. I was with some friends the other day.
No, I still think I was using DOS 3.2 in the 80s, so.
Really?
Oh,
so
yeah.
you were on it early,
I was
right?
on like a 1200 baud modem. Yeah, it's amazing.
And you're following the cyber developments and everything.
Well, I maybe new product lines and new features and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I just discovered Twitter. I didn't understand it, and like I sort of messed around with it today, and now I'm finally able to understand Twitter. Like
tweet? I think it's a tweet.
Yeah, it's called a tweet.
144 characters?
Yeah, that's it. And I was like, well, isn't it just like a text message? And I only started text messaging this year.
I don't know how. I have to learn how to do that text message. You see, we're older.
Yeah.
I went to a thing with these friends. They're producers here, and really creative people and everything. It was really great. They're actors and everything, but really good. Great writer, Susan McIntosh, a great writer. And he had a 7-year-old kid.
Mm-hmm.
And he's 7 years old. He went to the computer and he's playing it like Vladimir Horowitz plays the piano. 7 years old. I was chagrined and encouraged at the same time. Chagrined that I didn't have the least notion of how he knew what to do.
My father doesn't know how to turn on a computer.
Really?
No, not at all. Yeah, he's not interested either.
There says in the good book somewhere, the children shall lead us. That 7-year-old was playing the computer. He knew how to do everything, and he just assumed everybody knew how to do it. It's like learning a language is your mother's knee or something. It's very encouraging that the youth all know that.
A computer is very intuitive. It's it's designed to be very, very intuitive.
Do you think it's measured?
I'm actually sort of against the technology education that is so prevalent and popular today, because it takes emphasis away from what we used to call book learning.
Book learning. Do you think that's linear thinking or linear?
No, it's absolutely linear. Because
the book learning is linear.
It's linear. Yeah. Well, I mean, if you read like Ulysses, that's not linear at all.
No, not at all.
Because you're constantly flipping back and forth.
Right.
But you have to use your memory, and then you have to find the page.
Yeah, it's also going auditory.
It's really hypertextual.
But music is also auditory, and then you're getting into
music is linear because you listen from point A to point B.
Well, that is
from
true.
start to finish.
Well, then
it's
in
linear.
a certain sense, everything is. But
the thing is, I don't think computers, unless you're coding, they don't have the kind of rigor that reading books have. And the emphasis is given to we have these computers, we buy a lot of computers for the school, and kids are learning, and it just gives like the representation that they're learning. But it's such an intuitive technology. I'm not convinced they're actually really learning anything, and this really just hides the fact that they probably wouldn't be learning anything anyway. Because
you don't think it's a great research thing?
Sure.
To me, I'll tell you, young man. To me, it's like manna from heaven. That thing called the internet, where you can go, and you used to have to spend hours in the stacks. They used to have stacks, and they used to have a thing called whiteout.
But do you know what you're looking for?
You had to have whiteout. You make a mistake on.
Do you know what you're looking for?
Yeah.
Why do you know what you're looking for? Because you've read. That's why. Like, I can go, on Google Books, you can, have a preview of a book, but there's a way to unlock the book. You can read the entire thing online if you can remember, off the top of your head, a complete phrase.
Something's really important called keywords. I think it's important, and they're going to have to improve search, I think. Well, I think they're working on it, trying to improve
something
search.
More contextual would be good. But the thing is, for me, I've read some books, so I can go on Google Books. I'm like, oh yeah, well, what was that? That was cool. Yeah. And I look it up, and bam, the whole book is unlocked. If you haven't read that book, you're not going to be able to unlock the book.
Big difference reading a book and watching a movie of it. A screenplay, a multimedia.
Well, I think the three are different. Movies are different. Internet is different. Books are different. The relationship between a movie and a book is different than what its multimedia counterpart or related or integrated to whatever
it is different.
content.
And that's all we had
I don't
yesterday.
find the internet to be particularly rigorous, though. I mean, if I want to find something,
authenticated,
or just like scholarly articles or something like this, it's actually a little difficult to find. I mean, you can get great books. That's cool. If you can get them for free. You can unlock them on Google Books if you know what
Kindle
they actually say.
Yeah, right.
That's the thing. But if you're somebody, I mean, kids, they'll go on Wikipedia and they'll read that and they'll go, oh yeah, now I know about it. But Wikipedia is just a way to, if you actually follow like the references they have, you can learn about something. But otherwise,
well, what about the idea that do you ever go in the library? You ever go in the Library of Congress?
I have been to a library.
No, if you ever go and you look, and I'll tell you something. Is there used to be a thing Mr. Gibbon would say, or you'd come in to his publisher and he'd say, another big fat tome, huh, Mr. Gibbon?
Yeah.
And it takes you about 3 weeks to read the damn thing because it's this thick. So you could spend your whole life reading about 3 books if you wanted to be really get expert on that.
Oh well.
And this thing about Norbert Wiener saying pattern recognition. You're going to get, everything is set up specialized. Buckminster Fuller used to say it was a conscious plot when he got political with Grunch of Giants and Critical Path, as opposed to being just designed and everything he was so famous for and everything. And he said they deliberately set up graduate schools and financed them, the Illuminati or the people that run the world. And he said, or the great masters of the sea, he called them, in order to get the best mind. They're not worried about the dullards. They're worried about the best minds. To get the best minds so specialized out on something that they would not be thinking about big patterns and become a threat to those who think big patterns.
I absolutely,
do you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely agree.
Is it relevant that we need to get patterns and specializing? You could spend your whole life.
Then you're not going to see a big picture.
That's linear. That's linear tunnel vision. CIA won't talk to the FBI. People won't. You don't have a pattern recognizing capability in the general society or even in the intellectual class.
Well,
intellectual class has not come up with a pattern relevant to what the future requires yet.
Well, the intellectual class is
including the artists,
either
the musicians.
bored or
they're bought off by the people who set the template and have the ownership of all the capital assets to set up the structures of our institutions.
Well, the intellectual class is typically not interested in power either. They might be like the puppets of power to some extent. Like
but they have to be sycophants to get the grants.
Yeah. I mean, there are people who, you could read a whole bunch of books that actually matter, and then you could write a book marketed to the people who want to affiliate with some kind of idea and then make some money, and you're like, oh, okay, I can buy like a $2,000 stroller for my wife's and my baby, and she's bothering me all the time or something like this. It just becomes a job in a market. But people
for most people, that's the way. That's the most. What is it? Behavioral psychology. That's the cheese.
Yeah.
For most people,
well, it's,
because they have to have bread to eat. They have to eat. They have to feed the family. Responsibility. And the institutions are all predicated upon that.
Well, if I were a dictator,
would you like to be a dictator?
No, not at all. But if
philosopher king.
If I were a dictator,
benevolent.
I'd make art illegal.
You'd make art illegal.
Yeah.
Well, it already is criminal class. Creative is
no, I mean literally illegal.
You put them in prison.
Yeah,
painting a painting.
Yes.
They're subversive as hell. They have to be outside the fishbowl and where everything's swimming.
Where is art illegal? Like
No, no, it's philosophically.
No, I mean literally.
Because you're breaking the mold.
Art illegal.
You're outside the fishbowl in which everybody's swimming in order to be creative with something new and a pattern.
It's a crime. Like I would make art a crime.
You would, okay?
Yeah, and I'll tell you why.
Why?
Because only the people who are serious would do it.
Okay, well that's the thought. You make it a grand crime.
My friend Laura said that.
Yeah, but what? Let me ask you a little philosophical question. We've got to get some more music in too. But wait a minute. Well, no, we got to. All right, let me ask you one question to lead into your music. Are you optimistic or pessimistic?
I'm very optimistic.
For the human prospect.
Optimistic, absolutely.
You are.
Yes.
Unqualifiedly.
Yeah,
you don't have any doubts in your mind that we made?
Well, I don't really think about my doubts. I just am optimistic, and I haven't always been. And lately, I've just felt this kind of optimism in the air, and I think a lot of it had to do with kind of like letting go of whatever expectations that I might have had. Or
Stones made a song about that.
Which one?
The Stone. I have no expectations.
Expectations. Do you know that one, Lars? I think it's No Satisfaction.
Yeah, maybe it was part of Satisfaction.
I didn't really take that.
Anyway, never mind. I didn't. I'm saying.
No, I am optimistic.
Okay, that's good. You don't think we're going to blow up the whole system with our weapons of destruction?
I highly
Do you think
doubt
they're
it.
species lethal of capability now, unlike as recently as the Second World War? The weapons that exist are species lethal?
I mean, are you saying that we still have?
If there was an unleashing of all the weapons that do exist,
it would be bad.
It would have to be the United States of America involved in that ungodly thing, but that it would be the end of the human species.
Probably.
That'd be sort of sad.
Well, yeah.
You don't think that's possible?
It'd be terrible. No, sure, it's possible.
But is it relevant that that is the case, existential new reality in the universe compared to all of
I
history?
think the threat
We've been
of,
protected
I mean,
in
since
our
the
impotence.
80s, like the threat of, I mean, they even in 1981 there was that movie about mutually assured destruction, starring Matthew Broderick, and they made like a popular movie about it.
It was called War Games.
War Games,
It was on the other day. It was a great movie.
It's a great movie, but
Yeah.
you know when they're making a movie about Mad, like in the 80s, that indicates that they've gone to the logical extremis of.
Well, that's because we beat the enemy, the Soviet Union, but now we have it all, and it's in our hands. And we can't imagine we would ever do anything like that. Except it wouldn't happen logically. It wouldn't happen logically.
The problem with nukes is that
not only nukes, all of the weapons, germ. There's things that they now the weapon research goes on.
Yeah.
And but what should go on is the music.
Okay.
Okay. But I'm glad you're optimistic.
I am
an
optimistic
song.
Yeah. Well. Okay, I'll play this one.
Play whatever you want, my friend.
We stayed up late, eating ice cream, making out all night long. Your face was a mess, but we just laughed. Love don't mean a thing when you're young. Did you get distracted by the spaceships? Now the sentiment's gone. You could watch the X-Files with me. Siamese twins with your tooth tied to a slamming door. I was on roller skates. You get all American history X on my heart. You could watch the X-Files, X-Files with me. You could watch the X-Files, X-Files with me. The continuing adventures, Agents Mulder and Scully. You could watch the X-Files with me. Now you tell me you blowing another guy and you don't know why. You rebound like Rodman. What? No reply. We stayed up late, eating ice cream, making out all night long. Your face was a mess, but we just laughed. Love don't mean a thing when you're young. Did you get distracted by the spaceships? Now the sentiment's gone. You could watch the X-Files with me. You could watch the X-Files, X-Files with me. You could watch the X-Files, X-Files with me. Continuing adventures, Agents Mulder and Scully. You could watch the X-Files with me.
All right. X-Files, huh?
I'm a fan.
Yeah, you're an X-File. Okay, good. Yeah. Well, that's good. That's really good. You want another? You got another you could play while you got it out? You got
Okay,
the guitar
sure.
out?
All right.
Got another? You got a lot. How many songs do you have, would you say, in your over?
Oh, 25,000.
25,000.
No, it's like a cliche musician.
Yeah,
It's like, oh, I have
yeah.
all these songs. I don't know. I haven't really counted.
Do you record them, keep track of them? You're well organized. Huh?
Yeah, I have this record, and going to start working on the new one soon.
Okay, good.
And there are 2 more before that. And this is really the only one that was like all fancy looking and nice, though. So
Yeah. Well,
I did the art for it too.
Yeah, it's nice. I see you got a lot of iconic figures there, right?
Yeah.
Is that Howard Bloom?
That is Howard Bloom.
You work with Howard Bloom. Howard Bloom is a major intellectual. This gentleman has the honor of working with him.
Well, we've been friends for about 10 years.
Great guy. Give him my best regards. He's a fan of Bucky Fuller.
He's a super guy.
He's a major important person. He's got a new book, I think, coming out.
Yeah, it's called The Genius of the Beast.
And he's got a hell of a good website. You told me he
endless
put it
content.
together.
He did it all himself. It's endless content,
and he's got
you can hang out there all day.
Yeah, I was there for a good part of the day today. It was very, 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 very encouraging.
He's a super encouraging guy.
Went into business. He went into music business and so forth.
He was. He's a scientist and originally, and then as like a sociological personal project, he became a promoter. He was the promoter for Prince and Michael Jackson and Joan Jett.
A whole list of people.
Yeah, and he all the people from the 80s. I mean, it just goes on and on. And then when he learned what he needed to learn, he started writing his books. And his first book that came out was the Lucifer Principle.
Right. There was another.
Global Brain.
That's right. Global Brain. That was around, and now he's got a new one out now. Is something capitalism or something? Or
it's called The Genius of the Beast, a radical revision of capitalism.
A revision of capitalism. Yeah, that was very interesting. I read a lot of it today.
We talked when I was in college. We met in a funny way. His neighbor across the street was my neighbor across the hall.
Yeah.
In college, and I was into people like Jean Baudrillard and Naomi Klein and stuff like this. And,
Naomi Klein wrote and a critique of Friedman or the Chicago School. Really writes well.
And
you mentioned Blackwater. That's Jeremy Stahill. Yeah.
And Howard and I just argued and came up with ideas endlessly. And I'm not really too much of a theorist of capitalism as much as I was when I was a younger man, I guess. But I more put it into practice. I mean, I live the way I live.
Yeah.
And I mean,
it's important still because I still don't think they have it right. I don't think they have it right yet. I think they have to make change. They're making change. You watch C-SPAN, they're making changes. They're getting there, but they haven't got the system in place yet.
I think like an ethical capitalism would benefit everybody.
Ethical, yeah.
A lot of people are like, oh, capitalism is bad and la la la, and I think a lot of critiques of capitalism are logically incoherent because capitalism doesn't really have its own ideology. It's a way of...
And it's been very productive.
Oh, yeah, it's the most productive structure we've ever had.
But it isn't serving all of the people like in a systems way.
It needs to. That's the thing.
We're heading for 10 billion, and it doesn't serve 60% of the people of the population, and the trends are not good in that direction.
Well, that's what needs to be fixed.
Yeah, well, that's a big fix.
It's the best thing we have so far, unfortunately. Yeah. I think because it's such an abstract structure and it doesn't have an ideology inherent to it. I mean, when you say one of the things said about capitalism is that it goes out and constantly revolutionizes, its means of production.
Yeah.
It's a very Marx kind of thing, which sure is true. And
well, it's been hit upside the head like a mule in Missouri with a 2x4 with this thing that happened last September.
I don't think that's a problem with capitalism.
You don't think it? No, it's it's a problem with the way the world is organized because the world is organized in a way that is not adequate to what the future requires. We need a fundamental alteration. This thing by the fellow Erickson.
Now we're getting into like a whole other hour.
No. We only got 2 minutes left. We got to get a song.
Should I do another song?
Yeah, do another song. But he says we have to start building for surplus rather than scarcity. Right. That's a big transformation. Do a song about scarcity or surplus or abundance.
Summer camp smoke cigarettes and stand around. In summer camp I spilled my big gulp when I tripped on the ground. In summer camp it's just my megaphone and me. Can't hear you talking, so don't talk to me. I wanna go home, but I can't be alone. So dance with me in my tight pants. summer camp I like the boys, but the boys don't like me. We'll take $1.20 and the sound for free. Summer camp, you know, candy ain't allowed. You see me in an hour and I sort it out. I wanna go home, but I can't be alone. So dance with me in my tight. So dance with me in my tight pants.
All right, that's good. Dance with me in my time. Is that what it said?
In my tight pants.
In my tight pants. That's what I didn't get it. Was that always there? That's just the ending line. Was that the end? Was that always to the verses?
I think that song could use a bridge.
You want a bridge, yeah?
Yeah, I think it could use a bridge.
Oh, okay.
A guy I work with, a producer, he's like, it needs a bridge, man.
A bridge, something.
He always says it needs a bridge, and you know he's pretty much always right when he says that.
Call it a bridge rather than a segue. And literature is a segue, but that's kind of
same kind of thing.
You work with others, yeah, backup group.
Oh yeah, oh boy, that's a whole other thing. I've played a lot of abstract music. I played with a group that I started with a couple friends of mine. I played in Art Basel 2 years ago. And the cool thing is we weren't just the opening band. We were like playing as Art.
Yeah.
And like Marcel Duchamp was one of his things was in the show. And and it's like wow. And,
you like freeform jazz or not?
That's all.
You do?
Oh yes.
You like freeform?
Oh yeah.
Ornette Coleman.
Late Ornette is some of my favorite.
Yeah.
Like Jack DeJohnette, one of my favorite drummers.
Okay, listen, we're almost out of time. This is TV. There's more, but we only say TV here, and he's a grist. Thanks for coming in and taking the time. I really appreciate talking with you.
Thank you so much for having me over.
Your pleasure. Now, you're going to do the honor of playing us out on a
song.
I'm
going to play out?
We have 1 minute, so get it.
Just cut me off when you're done.
Yeah, we'll just cut you off. We'll go to the
A fat priest talking backwards, designed to tease the girls. Is Hitchman dressed in leather? Half man, half something else. What would you say if you was me? He did a quick, then mince away. The maniac weeps on the screen. I hit record. I smiled, I said with helium. A crooky housewife, you're no fun.
You gotta play more.
Oh my
okay,
God.
You can't do it. You want to talk philosophy or do you want to play?
It's
your choice.
I don't really feel like playing anymore.
You don't want to play anymore.
I don't feel
okay, you're a pleasure. Great fellow.
Yeah.
He's working with Mr. Bloom. Congratulations, Mr. Bloom, a major person that we should be listening to at this crucial time.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that everything's cool. I think we've got some decisions.
I think we have a lot of things to do.
And it would be coming from the arts where it would give us the lead. And it's
well, I think art
music.
is a thing that always points. It's like a map that can give you a way into the future and allow you to see things in a way that you haven't seen before.
Absolutely, it is. I couldn't agree with you more. The arts are so important, and they ought to be paying more attention to people like TV.